But now that you mentioned being an introvert, being into sales, can you share maybe, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs or founders who come from that technical background and then they struggle with sales or communication. What advice would you give them, like somebody who feels that they are an introvert or they don't want to talk to people and yet continue to be responsible for their business growth and like doing everything that comes with being an entrepreneur?
Sure, Sumit. I think that's a great question. And I do believe very strongly that all founders, irrespective of what role they play in the company, or at least most of them, should really focus on selling, because your early clients, what you learn from them and how you align your product to change based on their needs is what's going to most likely make or break you. In terms of sales advice, the way I was lucky enough to work directly with Sagar from CarIQ, who would take me along to his business meeting while I was in a t-shirt and torn jeans, and he would still take me along, and I learned a lot. So it was just by observing someone very senior who had a knack for sales. He didn't come from a sales background himself, but he's extroverted. He can really talk. And that's my opinion, that he's extroverted, but he can talk and he can really hold a conversation. So I try to take cues from him to start with. And when I did sales for my own company, along with Charan early on when the company started, is also when I gained a lot of experience on the field. So if you're a technical person and if you are extroverted, you can still easily do sales. If you're introverted, I would recommend really tagging along with someone experienced to learn the craft of selling. It's not selling per se, to learn the craft of building a relationship with the people you connect with. Because out of 100 people, if you look at it, you're going to attack 100 and end up closing 5. But if you look at it as a relationship list, then you're going to hit 100 and eventually over the course of time, maybe convert 15 or 20 of them. And that makes all the difference in the world. Tagging along with an experienced person, as well as just riding out that entire challenge of picking up the phone and dialing, is what would really start helping founders who are not from that background.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I think that speaks from experience, because so many times people focus on themselves when sales makes them uncomfortable. And what you're sharing is focusing on the other person and building the relationship first and not just seeing it as a transaction. And you also mentioned that you do have to get on the calls, right? So you do have to have that courage to take the action. But then once you take the action, focusing on the other person and how you can serve them, rather than like just being an extrovert or just talking. Many times sales is also a lot about listening. And I think that was what I was listening in when you were sharing.
Very true, Sumit.